report by the International Energy Agency says there are concrete steps that individual nations can take to make a dramatic impact against fighting climate change that don't require a broad international agreement. And climate activists are using the report to make a new push to put climate change back at the top of the agenda. The IEA report says that global CO2 emissions reached a new record last year, climbing to 31.4 gigatons, an increase of 1.4%. If that pace continues, the planet could warm by 5.3 degrees Celsius.
And if you continue with business as usual, that rise could be 5.3 degrees Celsius, with potentially disastrous implications in terms of extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and the huge economic and social costs that these can bring.
The IEA also outlined 4 steps government could take to reduce carbon emissions by 3.1 gigatons by 2020. New laws to improve energy efficiency in buildings, industry, and transportation. Limit construction of inefficient coal plants. Take action to reduce by half the methane discharged by the oil and gas industry, and begin phasing out fossil fuel subsidies.
The energy sector is responsible for 2/3 of global greenhouse gases emissions.
The U.S. and China remain the 2 largest carbon polluters, but the IEA report said the U.S. has reduced its overall emissions to what they were in the mid-1990s. Much of this was due to the transition from coal to natural gas.
Not because gas is cleaner, not because gas is domestic, not because gas is a new innovation, shale gas and so on, mainly because gas was cheaper.
While China continues to be the largest greenhouse gas emitter,
the increase was one of the lowest it has seen in a decade as a result of efforts in renewables deployment and efficiency gains.
At the Sunnyland Summit in Rancho Mirage, California, the U.S. and China agreed to reduce hydrofluorocarbon production. HFCs are used in refrigerators and air conditioners and other appliances. The U.S. and China agreed to work with other countries to phase down HFC production. The White House says that a global phase down of HFCs could potentially reduce 90 gigatons of CO2 by 2050. Meanwhile, New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg is keeping the issue alive this week by discussing steps the city can take on its own.
We haven't waited for Washington to lead the climate change charge. If we did, we'd still be waiting.
Bloomberg announced a $20 billion plan Tuesday to upgrade the city's power grid, retrofit older buildings, and fortify the waterfront.
Whether you believe climate change is real or not is beside the point. The bottom line is we can't run the risk.
And former Vice President Al Gore gave the keynote address at the annual Rhode Island Energy and Environmental Leaders Day held in Washington on Capitol Hill.
We are paying the cost of carbon pollution. It is well past time that we put a price on carbon pollution and not just accept the price that it extracts from us.
Aside from warning about the dangers of global warming, Gore, who is also a member of Apple's board, spoke about the effects that Moore's Law has had in slashing the price of computer chips.
Well, something similar to that is now beginning to happen with photovoltaic energy and to a slightly lesser extent with wind energy. And the cost is coming down relentlessly and very significantly. And in many parts of the world, the cost of producing electricity from renewables is now cheaper than the cost of electricity from coal.
Later, Gore held a Google Plus video chat in which he pressed President Obama to do more on climate change. He said the president has come up with great words, then added, "We need great actions now."